Okay, everyone, I'm just going to get started. So welcome to session 6, interviewing part 1. We're going to do remote interviewing and virtual etiquette. My name is Savannah Robinson, and I'm a career coach at the Easton Center for Career Readiness. All right. And I think all of you guys know this by now, but please mute yourself and hide your screen. We are going to be doing this just to make sure that all of the quality stays good. And for a part of ours, just because I don't want my Wi-Fi acting up with all the rain outside, I'm probably going to mute or take away my my visual for a little bit of this too, okay? At any point that you have questions, please feel free to use the chat bar or ask me by unmuting yourself. The business competencies that we're going to be talking about today are going to be tech savvy, situational adaptability, and manages complexity. With tech savvy, we talked about this during my LinkedIn presentation. What I'm going to be covering today is going to be more along the lines of how to get yourself comfortable with all the different platforms that are out there, especially with virtual technology. There's Zoom and Skype. I know our team will sometimes use Microsoft Teams. There's also GoToMeeting. So with all of those various virtual avenues, I just want to make sure that we are constantly feeling really comfortable as we switch back and forth through there. Then we're going to go into situational adaptability. We are adapting our demeanor in real time right now, actually, just with everything that's going on through this pandemic. For some of us, it's been a little bit harder. If you have any questions about maybe how to adapt yourself even just right now, please feel free to reach out to us. We have talked a lot as a group just about how we're structuring our days to make things very productive and a little bit easier during this time. But situational adaptability isn't going to leave even when this pandemic's over. And so if you have any questions about even if you are graduating and that's going to be a time that you really need to adapt. So feel free to reach out even after this. And then manages complexity. So with this, there's our whole lives right now are virtual. And as you get into your career, you're going to have a lot of meetings that you're going to need to make sure you're on time for. If it's virtual and maybe right now, you don't have to comb your hair, right? Because I can't see you. But if this was a face-to-face activity, then you're going to need to know, like, okay, I have to dress this certain way for this presentation. So managing your entire calendar and also managing what different platforms that you're using. Okay, so whether you're using Zoom for one meeting and then maybe you're going to have to switch into a different platform, managing a whole lot of virtual platforms and just daily distractions that we have to manage. Okay, now we're going to get into the learning objectives. First, I'm going to start off with phone interviews. Okay, and then we're going to go into prepping for your interview. Throughout this, I'm going to be speaking a little bit to the fact of the phone interview process, and then we're going to kind of weave into what it looks like whenever you're preparing for a Zoom or any type of virtual interview. Next, we're going to be talking about types of video interviewing. I'm going to go over 3. And so at that point, if there are any video interviews that I don't cover, feel free to ask me about them. But these are the 3 that I hear most often. Then I'm going to move into Glassdoor and Interview Stream. Both of these you have access to through the higher OSU grads. So I'm going to show you how to get there and use the free access that you already have through OSU. Okay, so jumping into phone interviews, and this is going to be the point where I get rid of my my video for a while. Okay, so interview prep guide is what I'm going to be showing in front of you, but we're going to discuss phone interviews. Okay, so these are going to be along the same lines as an in-person interview. You're still going to want to research the employer, the position you're applying for, and the industry to help you gain a better understanding of what you're getting into. And then also this is going to help you to create better questions for the employer at the end of your interview. Okay. You're also going to want to always practice articulating how you've built upon your academic education through employment, maybe your involvement on campus or community activities. And you're going to want to be able to discuss the value that you've gained from these experiences and the skills that you have gained because of it. Okay, so really just being very thorough in your explanation and really understanding yourself. Okay, whenever I first got hired on, my manager told me, she said, interviews really are two things. One of them is knowing the company, and the other one is knowing yourself. And knowing yourself is harder, okay? So really, that's why we make this interview prep guide for you. You're gonna be able to write down ways that you've communicated effectively, ways that you've managed conflicts. And even if it's just one word, that's gonna trigger a memory of, oh yeah, I have this story, all right? That's what this is used for, okay? And then throughout your entire interview, demonstrate enthusiasm, have a positive attitude, and a very strong interest for the position in the company. As some of you can probably tell right now, I'm smiling a lot. That is just my personality. For me, and maybe if you're like me, I kind of have to tone mine down a little bit, okay? Especially if I'm nervous or I'm in an uncomfortable situation. I'm almost too smiley, and it's just as bad as being, coming off as being scared and not smiling at all. Okay, so if you're like me, tone that down just a little bit. You're going to want all these conversations to feel natural, and you're also going to want to have the recruiter or whoever is on the opposite end of this feel comfortable, okay? Now, maybe you are talking a lot like this, and you're getting quieter in your voice, and maybe it's shaking a little bit, and you're not smiling at all. Anyone can tell from the other side, okay? So even if you aren't on a live feed, people can tell a difference in the way that your tone is, even on the phone. So throughout all of this, make sure you are you're smiling throughout this, okay? Also, I just want to mention this at the end of every interview, always send a thank you note, okay? So for some of you, especially if it's a phone interview, that's usually a screening process, and they're going to be making a decision fairly quickly. I would suggest emailing them a thank you. If you have, I won't get too much in the weeds on what that looks like. If you have any questions, feel free to look at our thank you guide on our website. But you're going to want to always make sure you thank them for this time that they've taken with you. All right, now we are going to move into before your interview starts, okay? So this is the beautiful prep guide. I couldn't show all of it to you because then the words got a little bit funky. So here's just one of the 4 sections that the interview prep guide covers, okay? So you're gonna fill out and create, or you can create your own, okay? I want you to really go through these and know your story, okay? Then I want you to prepare your area, mute notifications on your phone or your laptop. If your phone, if messages come through your laptop, you're gonna wanna make sure that that doesn't happen, especially on a Zoom call or any type of virtual interviewing. You're also going to want to log out of your email. Mine keeps the bloop, right? Like it will go all day because it constantly loves to remind me of my to-do list. So I would log out of that completely just to make sure that that's not a distraction or interrupting maybe a recruiter's question or your response. Do not chew gum. I don't like, this is a big thing for me. Don't chew gum in a real interview. Don't chew gum on the phone or during an interview on a Zoom call or anything like that, okay? Even if you're not actively chewing, I can tell something is in your mouth. I can. So make sure that that is taken out, okay? And then for your virtual interviews, let's say that they have a platform that they're using that you're not as familiar with. I would highly suggest downloading it and practicing with a friend, or pick one of us, pick a career coach, okay? And we can send you an invite. We have nearly all of the regular virtual platforms. And then if there's one that maybe we don't know much about, then that just gives us both something new to learn, and we'd love to walk through that with you. The next thing you're gonna wanna do is make sure that your space is quiet, okay? So right now I think I mentioned this before, I have 2 roommates, 2 college girls living with my husband and I, and a husband who comes and goes because it's his home. And then I have 2 dogs. Okay. So for me, I want to make sure that whenever I logged on today, I made sure everyone was either out of the house or locked in their room and dogs were quiet. Okay. So we want to make sure that our space is quiet, and you want to make sure you communicate that with anyone that you're sharing a living space with. Okay. Then let's go into how to conduct yourself during a virtual interview. Okay. So I'm going to, I don't want to be there yet. Okay. I'm just going to stick on this page. All right. So after you prepare your space and you remove your distractions, your phone, we want to make sure that you have good lighting. Okay. So whenever I first got on Zoom, sometimes the lighting was so bright that my face turned white, or sometimes everything was all yellow. We want to just make sure that we have natural lighting. Some people go all out and they set up a light. A lot of times I don't feel like that's super necessary, but a natural light is very important. For the ladies, you're going to want your hair to be done and probably out of your face, especially for the interviews where you're looking back at yourself. It's so easy to just play with your hair or move it. So if it's out of your eyes, that's going to help you with that. And then guys, let's just brush it. Okay. Brush it, comb it. If you want to be really, really professional, use a gel, but just make sure, even during the pandemic time when we cannot go see our hairstylist and our hair might be not exactly how we want it, always look the best that you can. Okay. So whatever that looks like. And then what I really want you to do is, always make sure that you dress in business professional, especially on the top. So does this mean that you need to have shoes and belt that match? No. Does this mean that you have to be wearing pantsuit with the pants? No, you can wear shorts if you'd like, but anything that we are physically seeing, I want to be very business professional. So what that means is, girls, you're going to be in a blouse and probably some type of jacket or blazer. Men, you're going to also be in a button down with a tie in a lot of cases, and a suit jacket. Okay. So anything that we can see, we want to make sure is very presentable. Sometimes, and for me, I feel like I really enjoy just being completely dressed. It makes it feel like a real interview and something that I'm very ready for, and I've prepared myself. And I feel like that when I would take tests at school, I would always dress up for my test. I feel like I would do better if every part of me was prepared. Okay. So you guys know yourselves, figure out what that looks like for you. If you want to be a little bit more comfortable, just make sure you look presentable where I can see you. Okay. Now we're going to move into types of interviews. For me, there are 3 types of interviews that I'm most familiar with people coming to me with questions about. The first type is with an interview real time. That's going to be on, and these are, by the way, all going to be virtual. All right, what I talked to you about. That's going to change a little bit whenever they're in person. But for real time on Zoom or on whatever platform they're using, you are going to want to make sure that you show up a little bit early to the Zoom invite. That way you don't come in and you're very prepared. A lot of times, I was telling my manager this, whenever I don't know what I'm going to say, or if it's over a topic that maybe makes me a little flustered, I look everywhere but the camera, right? We want you to be so prepared going into these interviews that you can look into the camera and be very confident that whatever's going to come out of your mouth, you've already rehearsed and you know exactly what you're going to say. And feel free, grab somebody and rehearse these. Grab one of us and rehearse them, okay? It is also helpful to even look into a mirror, since that's kind of what you're going to be doing in this, and practice back and forth about answering different questions that you feel like might get asked. The second one is going to be the pre-recorded videos that give you one try, all right? So some companies will send out a list of maybe 10 questions, and everything is pre-recorded, and you get to push a button, and with all in this real time, it's going to give you a question. Tell me about yourself. And then it might give you 5 seconds. And then all of a sudden you have to think of something and you get one shot, right? So you're going to want to make sure that you've used all of your resources to be very prepared for this. Other companies may give you a pre-recorded interview, but they might give you 2 to 3 tries per question, and then you get to select your best recording, okay? So at this point, are there any, I'm gonna come back on and join you guys. Are there any other interviews that maybe you guys have had to deal with that I haven't listed? Virtual interviews? No? We're not quite done. Because now I'm going to take you to Glassdoor. All right? So the great thing about Glassdoor and InterviewStream is they are at higher OSU grads. OSU has already paid for the fees. You guys have complete access to them, okay? So if you go through the higher system or through higher OSU grads, you're going to come to this page. You click Students and Alumni, and then you're going to come down here to Interviews, and you're going to click on Glassdoor. I've already logged in to save us a step. What you're going to notice next, if you have not utilized this resource before, is you're going to have to type in a username and password. That is going to be your OP username and password, although it's going to come up with a Microsoft link, okay? Once you click on that, Glassdoor is going to open. I, again, have already saved us a couple of steps. I chose Paycom because that's kind of been my theme. So I'm going to stick with Paycom. I click on the interview tab and I type Paycom into the search bar. I usually leave my location open. There are going to be a couple of times when I know that maybe they're going to the East Coast and I want to be really specific about those questions. A lot of my students are going to stay in the Midwest, and so I just leave it all open, okay? And I scroll down, you're going to get all of these questions, okay? And at the bottom, it's going to show you how many interview questions total. 654, okay? Paycom has their way with words, right? They have a lot of questions. So at this point, if you want, like, you're like, wow, that's a lot of questions, you can go back up here in location and be more specific, okay? So if you also see here, for those of you who maybe aren't as familiar with Glassdoor, there's going to be different positions listed. So Paycom specialist. So if I'm going to be applying to the Paycom specialist role, then I'm going to want to look at all of what those questions look like. If I'm an outside sales consultant, I'm going to look at all of their questions, okay? InterviewStream is going to be right underneath Glassdoor. So you're just going to click this, and then it's going to take you right here, okay? So from here, it's going to say conduct an interview, watch my interview, or mobile interview, okay? So fun fact, you can actually do this from your phone. You can do this from anywhere, right? We always have our phones. So I'm going to conduct an interview first because I can't watch any because I haven't taken any. I created a new site. That way you guys couldn't see my old ones. I've gotten better since then. All right, so there's 2 types that you can do. You can do created for me, or you can do a custom interview. I'm gonna take you to the custom interview first. So you can search in here all sorts of different questions. So let's do just general business, okay? So if I come in here, and I'm actually going to walk through this with you. I'm not going to do one in front of you because, well, nope, I'll do one with you guys later, though. If you guys make an appointment with me, I will show you one. That's how I get my appointments. So, all right, I'm going to do, actually, it doesn't really matter. In your words, what does our mission statement mean? Okay, so I'm going to move that over. Now, you can move as many over as you want. Then you click Start Your Interview. Okay, so now they make sure that your vocals are working and your hardware is checked. Glorious. Proceed to my interview.
Hi, and welcome to InterviewStream. Your interview will begin shortly. Please remember to speak clearly, look forward, smile, and relax.
In your words, what does our mission statement mean?
Okay, this one's going to give you 5 seconds to come up with something. And then what I love about InterviewStream is it actually takes away your video. Love this because it is so hard for me to concentrate. I'm worried about what my face is doing rather than the answer to the question. So at the end of it, and I can push whatever I want, and then I could review it, retry, or continue to the next question if I were to have made one. Okay. Leave. All right, so now that is if I make my own. We're gonna go through one more with you guys, and you can go to the created for me ones. This is super great. So there are so many different types. I do want you to keep in mind that Interview Stream is made for all of OSU. So not all of these are gonna be just business. Some of them are gonna be for PT grad school, maybe teachers, if you're applying for one of those. So you might have to shuffle through. If you want to be a dentist, any of you guys, there's one for you guys there too, okay? So if we were to come up here, and let's just go to this very top one, first one. He does look intimidating, but do not let him fool you. He's a softie, okay? So now we're gonna come in here, it's gonna do the same thing. We're gonna push next. So whenever I push proceed to the interview, it's gonna give me a question right away.
Hi, and welcome to Interview Stream. Your interview will begin shortly. Please remember to speak clearly, look forward, smile, and relax. Tell me about yourself.
Oh, and I get 5 seconds, okay? Or I could have jumped the gun and pushed record now, okay? So now I'm just gonna go back to my lovely little, cute little slide right here. Okay, so at this point, I'm gonna have any questions that you may have. One thing that I did think about was at the very end, whenever there are so many different, or whenever the woman comes on and talks, I'm like, you guys might be asking yourself a couple of questions. Like, one, how does she look so calm? And I think that just comes from a lot of practice. And if you guys do it as much as she has, you will be just as great as her, okay? So I challenge you to that. And then another question that came to mind was, okay, Savannah, so I've already done the interview stream, but I mean, I'm just looking at my own feedback and I don't know what interviewers are looking for. That is great. So you can actually send those to a career coach and we can walk through those with you, okay? I do not want you to feel any type of weirdness or I know that a lot of this is very overwhelming and it takes a little bit of vulnerability to share these, but truly once you've mastered virtual interviewing, I really feel like you're unstoppable, okay? So that is my sense. Do you guys have any questions for me? Oh, I have one. Okay, where you can find the copy of the interview prep guide is going to be, if you go to the Easton Center website, then we have those listed under the Career Services tab. Right, Abby?
Yes, that is correct. You can find the interview prep guide there along with the interview guide.
Yes. And actually, all of our interview guides are going to be under the Career Services tab on our website. And my favorite one when I first started working at the Easton Center is the interview prep guide. It just comes with so much knowledge that you don't really think about whenever you go into an interview. And in case you guys are wondering how to get, for those of you that are still with me, if you go to Easton Center, OK State, and click on our link, you will see our lovely website, and then the Career Services tab is right here. And these are all of our guides, including right here is our interview prep sheet, okay? And the STAR model that Mike Stump, our career coach, worked really hard on, and it looks great. And so, yes, use all of our resources because when you do, you feel much more prepared.